I suppose most of us spend our lives kind of cruising through life, but there are those among us who live life at full throttle. Hi, I'm Brock Yates. Today we're going to spend some time with a man whose hard-charging lifestyle has brought him some real rewards, such as this beautiful farm in rural South Carolina. Join me today as we meet one of the great drivers, Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough may be the most tenacious competitor in the history of stock car racing. A natural athlete with a powerful competitive urge, Cale is known by his fellow drivers as a man whose great talent is only surpassed by his urge to win. A veteran of 27 years of Grand National competition, Cale has won every major NASCAR race, including the Daytona 500 and the Grand National Championship 3 consecutive years. Successful businessman with 2 car dealerships and a chain of fast food restaurants, Yarborough lives on a 1,250-acre gentleman's farm with his wife Betty Jo and 3 daughters, only a few miles from his childhood home in Sardis, South Carolina. Cale, this spread has got to represent more to you than just a farm. I mean, having grown up on a farm, your family were farmers for a long time. It must just be a special part of your life.
Well, it is, Brock. You know, the old saying is you can take the boy off the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy, I guess is true in my case. I love the farm, and I was born and raised on it, and, you know, I really make my living doing other things now, but this is one of my racing trophies as far as I'm concerned. This is what I've worked for, and this is the biggest trophy I've gotten in racing.
What is it, I wonder, about a man who gets as successful as you are, and yet so many guys like yourself never want to lose touch with the soil? I know there's something about land, isn't there, more than anything else you can own?
It really is, and I don't know really how to explain it, but it's something, I guess if you get sand in your shoes when you're young, you want to keep it in, you want it in there when you're old, so that's about what it amounts to.
I suppose these old Angus cows out here mean a lot of ways more to you than all the business ventures and everything else in their own way, huh?
I enjoy fooling with them, Brock. They're kind of therapy for me. You know, I just enjoy getting out here and doing a lot of this farm work myself. And
yeah, you really work the farm.
I work the farm myself, and I feed the cows myself. I'm my own handyman around the farm, and I enjoy it.
Gentleman's farm, but the farmer, he's a gentleman, but he works at it too as well, huh?
Well, I do work at it. I do 99% of all this farm work right by myself. Of course, I have the big tractors and the big equipment that I can do it with, and I enjoy it.
Well, it's a fantastic place. I want to talk to you a little bit more when we get a chance to, when we come back, about your racing career and your other activities. So we'll be back with more with Cale Yarborough on The Great Drivers after this. Cale, I want to say something right off the bat. I've been in a lot of nice houses in my life, but this is a winner. This is my congratulations. It takes my breath away.
Well, thank you, Brock. We enjoy it out here. You know, we're out in the country, and we're sitting here on about 1,250 acres of land right in the middle of it, and it's just my kind of living. I was born and raised on a farm, and living back off the road like I am with my cows and my farm equipment, it's just, it's a good place to come to when I leave a place like Daytona running 200 miles an hour.
Oh, boy, I'll bet. I bet you, when you're sitting in that race car, sometimes you think, boy, I ought to be back home right now.
Yeah, wonder what I'm doing here. I should be on that tractor somewhere.
Boy, Sardis is just down the road, isn't it? Where you were raised?
This is my home country. This is where I came from, in a little community called Sardis, right across the river there, and that's where I was born and raised. And of course, I went to Charlotte for a while, and when I was working for a Ford Motor Company, and then when I came back, I bought a home over in Timminsville, which is a few miles down the road, still home too. And but then I bought this property here in 1968, and I wanted to build out here one day. That's what I bought it for, to really come back home, completely home, not 6 miles down the road, but back home. And so about 6 years ago, I built this house here and came back home, and we really enjoy it.
Well, it's breathtaking. It's one of the most beautiful homes I think I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you.
Cale, you know, Buddy Baker said to me a while back, he said, you know, Yarborough, he said, you can knock them down, but you can never knock them out. You've got a reputation of being just a competitor, a pure competitor, and you seem to bring that intensity off the racetrack to all forms of your life. You're a hard-driving guy.
Well, Brock, I've always been a competitor. From the time I can remember shooting marbles on the ground or you know, anything that I've ever done, I've wanted to do it right, and I wanted to do it better than anybody else. And I guess I'm a kind of a workaholic. I got to be doing something. I just can't stand to be still or sit still, and I keep working at it. And it's just my nature that I look forward to getting up in the morning and seeing what all I can get done that day, and it's gone over into my racing too. I'm that way on the racetrack. I feel like that being out front and winning races is the name of the game, and I want to do it the very best I possibly can.
I've seen you, all the years I've been around you, I've seen you race with bruises and burns and bent knees and all the stuff that you've been through, but you never back out. You never quit. I think that's a special quality. I don't think I've ever seen it in any other race driver.
Well, I think the good Lord did me a favor when he made me. He put a switch in my brain somewhere that I can turn off and turn all that stuff off. And then when the race is over or whatever, I can turn the switch back on. So I can get it completely out of my mind. Any kind of injury, I can pretty well still go on and get my job done and don't think about it. And I think that's a gift. I'm serious. I really think that it is a gift to be able to do something like that.
The racing business has brought you a great deal, but now you're expanding. I mean, you're becoming almost a mini conglomerate here. You've got the car dealership. I understand you're going to build another one, and now you're getting into the food business. Is that right?
Well, yeah.
And the farm, of course.
Yeah, the farm. The farm is a big farm, and they have a Goodyear service center, a body shop, and some dry cleaners that I started years ago, and some rental warehouses and different things like that. I'm in the automobile business, and now I'm in the Hardy business. I just bought 6 Hardy restaurants, so I'm cooking hamburgers too now, and a lot of other little things that I own part of and don't own all of. So it just gets right back to being a competitor. I got to keep going, you know.
Were you in business before you started to race? I mean, did you think about a career other than racing even while you were racing?
Oh yeah, well, I started racing at an early age, and as I said, I was born and raised on a farm. And when Betty Jo and I got married, we were in the turkey raising business. I was in the turkey business and logging business, both at the same time, and about to starve to death. I said, there's got to be a better way than this. So I kept racing and doing all these other things too, and eventually I had to weigh everything out. I said, now, I'm not getting anywhere in my racing business. I'm not making any money in the logging business, and I'm not making any money in the turkey business. So I've either got to do one or the other. I gotta make up my mind which one I think is going to be for me in the future. So I sat down and talked to Bev Jo about it, and I told her that, you know, this is what we had to do. And along about this time, Ford Motor Company was had their eye on me about maybe giving me a shot at one of their factory cars, and they were helping me a little bit on the side, and we had some problems. So, you know, I looked all around and to see what kind of future I had in the racing business, and I really couldn't see much. Every good car had a driver, and nobody was looking for a driver at the time. And
what was this, the middle 60s?
This was the middle 60s, yeah. And so I decided that the best thing for me to do was quit racing. Just forget about it and go to work. And this is what I decided to do. So, and I made kind of an announcement that that's what I was going to do. I was going to get completely out of racing. And that was the best thing I ever did, was make the announcement, because some people heard about it. And some people at Ford Motor Company, Mr. Jack Passano at the time was heading up the Ford Motor Company racing team, and he heard about it, and he'd been watching me and helping me some. So he called one day, and he says, my wife called me to the phone. She says, Jack Passano. And I said, are you kidding? You know, he's not calling me. So I went to the phone, and sure enough, it was him. He says, what are you going to do? You going to drive race cars or do something else? I said, well, I don't have a race car to drive. I would like to be in the racing business, but I don't have a race car. He said, well, go to Charlotte and Holman & Moody's in Charlotte and get your seat fitted for you. So
wow,
making a decision to go one way or the other was the right thing to do, because this, you know, it put me in the right direction. And
even though it went basically in an opposite way.
Direction, yeah. But I decided that I had to make some decisions, and that doing what I was doing, I might be doing all three of them the rest of my life, and none of them would amount to anything. So I made the right decision.
Did you know what you were going to do? I mean, if nobody had taken you up on the deal?
Well, I was going
more turkeys and more logs.
I'll get a bigger truck, yeah. Make a bigger load.
We'll be back with more with Cale Yarborough and the Great Drivers after this.
I think a race driver like yourself in a lot of ways is like a movie star. I think that a lot of people out in the world sort of fantasize about you guys, and a lot of people think that it's just a steady road up to stardom, but there have been a lot of hard times, haven't there?
Well, it sure has, Brock. It's a steady road, but you got to keep steady digging too to get up it. There's no way you can start on this in this business on top. It's a tough climb, and it was tough for me. I started out actually I started at the bottom of the racing world in a soapbox derby when I was 10 years old, and went from there. And it's had a lot of tough times. But, you know, it's just something you have to, if you really want to do it and you really want to be successful at it, you got to keep digging at it.
What did your wife, Betty Jo, I know you were your childhood sweetheart, she's been through it all with you. Has she felt always that it was worth the effort?
She never one time ever asked me if I thought it was worth it. She knew it's what I wanted to do and what I thought that I could do, and she knew that I thought that it could be good for us if we ever made it. Mm-hmm. So she gave me a lot of support. There's no doubt about it.
Cale, this is a business that requires good automobiles, and you went through a long, hard time. We talked a little bit earlier about not having the good cars, but did you really feel in your heart that you could race with anybody if you had the right equipment?
I felt like I could, Brock. I even felt like I could probably before I could, but I thought I could, and I think that's 90% of the battle there is thinking you can. And it's, I did have to run bad equipment, and I would sit with that old bad equipment, broke down, and look at the good cars running, and I'd say, one of these days, one of these days, and I just kept it up.
Keep on trucking.
Right.
A lot of the guys that have you raced with most of your career have sons that some of them are coming into the business. 3 daughters. If you had a son, what would you tell him? What would you want him to do?
If I had a son, which I don't, so really, I probably really can't answer this question the way I might answer it if I had a son. But if I had a son and he wanted to get into the sport, I'd help him all I could. There's not an awful lot of help you can give to a young person, whether it's your son or not. Really, it's they gotta have the desire.
Well, the girls are all racing fans. They're all involved, aren't they? One of your daughters, of course, is working at the dealership.
Right.
She must love cars.
She loves cars, and she works at the dealership. And I have two daughters still in high school, so one junior high and one high, and but none of them are thinking of becoming race drivers.
Dad might put his foot down on that end of it.
Right,
huh? Yeah, I'm sure it's that you have moments when you think if only your dad had been around to watch this all happen, he would have been a very proud man, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, my dad was a big race fan, and I think probably that's where my love for racing came from, because when I was a little boy, he was used to take me to the races. I mean, when I was a real little boy, he used to take me to the races, and I enjoyed it. I can remember going to Columbia Speedway, Columbia, South Carolina. They had a half-mile dirt track there, and I was just a little fella, and I remember people like Cotton Owens and Buck Baker and Curtis Turner and these fellas racing there, and I just thought they were the greatest people in the world. And but he unfortunately got killed when he was 31 years old, and he didn't stay around to see what's happened, but I'm sure that he'd have been right in the middle of it had he been here.
I'm sure it would have been. Cale, we talked earlier about a lot of different facets to your business life and your career, and you're backing off slowly from the racing thing. And I think you said that a lot of that reduction in your schedule down from the full Grand National schedule down to 16 or 18 major races a year has an awful lot to do with being here, being with the family.
Well, there's no doubt about it. That was the big reason that I stopped running the full circuit. I won 3 back-to-back championships, and I'd run for the championship for years and years and years, and I had missed a lot in my family life. I had one daughter that was almost grown, and then I had 2 more coming along, and I took a look at the situation, and life's too short, and I feel like that I've paid my dues in the racing world, and I still enjoy it. I still enjoy running the races, but I think 16 races, a little over half the schedule, is enough. So I weighed all the facts out and decided that I need to spend more time at home. And I'm sure you've heard the story. That the reason that really changed my mind was one day I left the office and I came home to get something. I had to go on a business trip, and it was a very important business trip. And I got my briefcase and walked out the back door, and my youngest daughter, BJ, was sitting on the doorsteps, and she had some friends sitting there with her, and they were just sitting there, not doing anything. It's in the summertime, and I said, BJ, why don't you ride in your bicycles or something? She said, Daddy, says, every one of my bicycles are broke. And I said, well, why haven't you told me not to fix them? She said, Daddy, I've told you 50 times. Yeah. Well, it kind of got my attention. I came back in the house, I set my briefcase down, I took my suit and tie off, and I put my jeans on and went out and fixed the bicycles. Yeah. Called the people and told them that something very important had come up, and I couldn't make it. And that one thing got my attention, and I made up my mind right then that enough of anything was enough, that I was going to spend some time with my family.
Cale, I got to believe that a man who drives a race car as hard as you do and has as much business acumen and works as hard as a business, got to play pretty hard, too.
Well, I enjoy my outdoor life, Brock. I'm a big hunter and fisherman, and I got a pack of coon dogs and a pack of bird dogs, and I enjoy duck hunting and anything in the outdoors. I just enjoy it.
And then when you're not doing that, I understand you do a little airplane flying.
Yeah, I enjoy, I have my Navajo that I fly for business, but I got a pleasure plane too, which is a little Wizard ultralight, and I keep it right here on the farm, and I enjoy in the afternoons to get out and crank that thing up and fly around and look everything over.
Neighbors must always know when Yarborough comes around.
They know when I'm home.
Well, you must know these lakes and these woods pretty well after spending your life around here.
Well, I do. I've hunted in almost all of them and flown over all of them, and I know them pretty well. This is some fantastic country around here. We got good hunting and fishing, and it's just a good place to live. I wouldn't trade it for anywhere in the world.
Cale, we envy you. It looks like to you a dream come true, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. We want to thank you for bringing us into this fantastic house and letting us be with you today. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you, too, for joining us today with Cale Yarborough on The Great Drivers.